asked you to do this.
Yes, you
to come
did.
chat with me because you're a really pretty amazing person in Spokane. And I talked about doing this a really long time ago. So, Alison Collins, Boots Bakery. Is it Boots Bakery and Lounge? Is that the official title?
Yeah, but Boots Bakery's fine.
Is vegan in the name?
No.
No, that only comes up if you're like looking at a description of it on Google or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Well, this is kind of overdue, right? Do you remember when Luke and I first asked you to come do some kind of thing with Fellow?
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
Well, I'm going to get to that because I think I like to, this is how I do this. I calibrate the conversation around, all I do is I'm just interested in talking to certain people in Spokane who I think are rad. And you were so at the top of the list. More on that in a second. When I was new to Spokane. I'd only lived here for probably a year. I remember I was working at North by Northwest, and I was kind of deciding whether or not I was even going to live in Spokane. Still, like it was early 2013. So I'd been here for a little over a year maybe. And when Ray and I came down with, at that point, just Greta to Boots, I was like, there were two people who I remember blew me away about like what the Spokane vibe was like downtown. You and Keaton. Do you remember Keaton?
Yeah, Keaton Violet. Mm-hmm.
Yep, Keaton Violet, who was he was at Madeline's. And I remember coming to Madeline's, same story. This was in still 2011 at this point, late 2011 as we got here. And he was like, people shit on Spokane, but don't listen to them. This place is actually really pretty cool, and it's getting better every year or whatever. And then, fast forward a year, met you at Boots, and the way that you treated us just made us feel like I just wanted to be there all the time. And I'm like a person who doesn't even get out as much as I should, but just like that experience of going down there, Greta was like so like enthralled because you came out and you were like, gave her a little mini cupcake and of course the food is like super dank and delicious, so that's obviously a big part of it. But I just remembered thinking, like months later when I was deciding whether or not to stay in Spokane, because there was a moment where it was a little touch and go whether or not I would stay here. That kind of stuck out to me, that experience. So, and I know that I speak for a lot of people who would be watching this, that is a similar experience.
Well, I'm glad you stayed.
So, not to make you blush instantaneously, but I hope it works. I hope you are blushing a little bit, because it's incredible. It really is. The way that I know that Boots and your like efforts there serve this city is just incredible. So
that's sweet.
We were going to do something at Fellow, like in I want to say it was early 2014. And Luke and I had two ever of these events that we did called Coffee Mornings.
Yeah.
And you were so cool even then. Like, here we were, this like bootstrapping this business into existence, and it was not here.
Right.
It was at the fourth floor of the NEI Black Building, First and Howard. And we were just like trying to drum up interest in co-working spaces and whatever.
I remember all that now.
And we talked to you and we talked to Patty, but we only ended up doing two events. One was with Nick and Tyler, and one was with Wayne Williams.
We did treats though on coffee, I think.
But you did treats and coffee.
Yeah.
And we never made good on like actually getting, because then you guys talked about teaming up. It was going to be you and Patty.
Yeah.
Patty, owner. It's the equivalent to you, again, another very important person in Spokane.
We have the same birthday.
Do you really?
Yeah, not the same year. I'm
not
older,
same year?
But same birthday. Yeah.
Which is what?
April 28th.
Oh, rad. Does it make you a Taurus?
Yeah.
No. Is it really? I don't know. I'm embarrassed that I know that.
Yeah.
And now people have found me out. I'm into,
you know you're a horoscope. I don't know.
I'm into astrology or astronomy. No, astrology.
Yeah.
I'm not an astronomer.
Yeah, it is a Taurus. You're right.
Yeah. That's really cool. So you guys share the same birthday? Huh. So then we talked about tag teaming. So Patty, owner of Nito Burrito Baby Bar, and we never did it. So
I think that's fine. I don't think either of us are like, oh, God,
you guys aren't. But it was just going to be like a chance to talk about like your business and like how you guys went about it. I mean, not just your business, because that's like, I don't find that all the time very interesting, and I'm sure you don't either.
Right.
Because you're ultimately a human being, and I think that's why I wanted to start the conversation by talking about how important I found my interactions with you when I first met you.
I had no idea. That's very nice.
Really?
No.
Oh my God! It was so like, it was such a like essential downtown Spokane experience for me.
And you like me so much, you named your child after my child.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
There's another great story. Yeah. Take notes, Connor. We were on a road trip to Bozeman. Yeah, because this is around the same time period. I mean, a few months after I met you, Ivy was on the way. Came Ivy. This
Yeah.
is such a funny story. It's great. Driving to Bozeman, hadn't come up with a kid's name yet. And
Great.
it was like, I think this is probably fall of 2013. And Ivy was born in February of 2014. So we're 6 months in, we had no
February
idea
what?
for name. 7th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because my Ivy is February 27th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 2 February kids, because Greta is February 16, 2011. But we didn't have a name, and I really liked the name Olive. And I was like, that name is so cool. And I knew about your Olive, and I knew about Nick and Kat Tibbetts. I knew about their Olive. And I was like, we can't do that. We're just going to get totally harshed on, and people are going to be like, you just copied their names. And then on that same trip, the theme of green was like still active in our minds, and Googling colors, and the name Ivy came up, and I was like, that is perfect. And then I had forgotten that your other daughter's name is
right.
Ivy. So you have 2 green-based names for your daughters. And anyway.
And
but
Ivy
then-
was my maternal grandma's name.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how I ended up.
Ripping it off.
I
least
ended
you
up
don't have
ripping.
an
I ended up
Olive
ripping
and an
off your
Ivy.
name anyway, and I promise I didn't even know. I was
No.
not even, because then I ended up making a video for Pride Schools a couple years later, and then finally met Ivy.
Yeah.
Because I had only met, I think I met Olive because she came to a terrain event in this building before.
Oh, yeah.
Before, when you guys were in the video, because I don't think Olive was in that, or I don't think Ivy was in that.
No, in terrain.
In that video, remember the video we made, the
Yeah.
Kickstarter video, and you and Arden, and I think it was just you, Arden,
Yeah,
and
Ivy was
Olive.
not.
Ivy was not in there. So I had met. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. That's the story. That's one
I
of the
hope
stories
you
I have
edit
to tell
this.
about
Boy,
you.
kind of a ramble.
I know. Well, we
You
have
edit
some,
it,
we have
right?
some stories. No way.
Yeah, you
We
did.
just roll. We just go with it.
3 hour long. People are going to be like,
3 hours long. Yeah, it's like the Joe Rogan podcast. Yeah, exactly. Wait, one other quick thing that was interesting about this. So I'm gonna get to like how you ended up starting Boots, because this is a great way to set this up. When we met you, Ray was like, I think I recognize Alison, and I was like, what do you mean? And you guys started talking about the history of that building and how it used to be a Rocket Bakery.
Yeah,
and
and
Ray
she
was a
worked there.
barista there, and she recognized you, and she was like, yeah, you were one of my customers.
Yeah, I know. I recognize her too. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a second.
So let's start there with like how did you end up, are you vegan? Like what ended up pushing you into this idea? Like how did you come about it?
So, and that's funny, your wife worked there, because for years I would meet up with Jess and Dan and some other like regulars every single morning for
Dan
coffee.
Spalding?
Yeah,
Yeah.
at the Rocket. And he
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
owns the building, obviously. But we would meet there every morning for coffee. And at that point I had like a real job, an office job in social service. So come there early, we'd all meet up, have our coffee, blah, blah,
okay.
blah, move along. I additionally met Arden there. He was at one of these morning meetups. He had just gotten back from, he crab fished for a while. So he was there, and that's how I met him. So I met Arden at
So
the
you
Rocket.
guys had a meet cute moment at the Rocket Bakery back in the day?
in the spot where is now Boots. Yeah, that's where I met him for the very first time. Isn't that
Aw,
insane? I know, it's
that's
kind of
so cute.
It's a sweet little
I kind of
story.
want to throw up, but it's because it's so cute.
Yeah, that's where I first met him. So, and of course I've been friends with Dan for a long time.
Yeah.
So I, let's see, when I had my like real job, I call that a real job, not that my job now isn't, but it's
Yeah.
an office job,
Yeah.
traditional job.
Yeah.
When I was pregnant with Ivy, this would have been 2004, I quit that job and stayed home with her for the first year, and then she was about a year old, started bartending at Mizuna, friends with Sylvia, who owned Mizuna at that time.
Mizuna's been around that long, huh?
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
realize that.
Yeah, long time. So I started bartending there just a couple nights a week, because that was, perfect. I could work at night, Arden worked during the day.
Yeah.
And then I started baking for Mizuna. At that time I was absolutely, I had started eating a plant-based diet before I met Arden, because I
Yeah.
had dated someone who was plant-based. So I'm like, I'd try it, and then I just stuck with it. So I started baking for Mizuna, and then that led to like this kind of side baking job that just got bigger and bigger and bigger, because nobody was really offering that, in town.
You were dating somebody that was into plant-based diets?
Right.
What did it? What was the appeal to you about that, or was it just through like
I just thought I'd
exposure
try.
to it? And
Yeah, I just thought I'd try it.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense, like environmentally,
Yeah.
health-wise, for many reasons. There was no reason where I was like, "That's a dumb idea." You know, it was a lot of good reasons
makes a
to
lot of
do
sense.
it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I started baking for Mizuna, still bartending for them, and I did that for years. And then we were at somebody's wedding, our friend Kosa's wedding, in about, maybe that was 2010, 2011, and Dan said, you should open a bakery, like
Yeah.
in his space, right? The Rocket was still there, but he was looking to have them leave.
Were they looking to have them leave?
I don't know that.
Yeah.
I don't think
That's a
think
good
so.
location.
It's a perfect location.
But that's really cool. But it probably speaks a little bit to Dan. Like,
yeah,
who he
yeah,
is. Like,
and he does like to, keep things fresh and moving. So I said absolutely not. No way. I mean, because in my mind, the way I was doing it, at any juncture, I could just say, I'm not going to do this, and it's fine. I could make choices. But once you decide to open a business, you don't have a lot more choice.
yeah.
So
Is Dan a plant-based diet type person?
No,
or,
no.
You just saw that probably there's a good business
yeah,
opportunity.
he absolutely had my baked goods many times and had ordered from me many times.
Oh, gotcha.
And plus, we'd just been
For
friends.
Zola or for what?
No, for himself
Just for
and
himself.
family things and
Okay.
yeah. So, and like I said, we were pretty tight friends and hung out a fair amount up until I started having kids and got
Yeah.
busy. Anyway, so I said no, and then there was like, you should do this. Sylvia's like, you should do it. Everybody, all these things came in and said you should do it. I think I was the last person to sign on for that.
Yeah.
To like say, all right, let's just do it.
What about Arden? What did he think?
Arden
about
said
it?
yes, should
Yeah.
do it.
And did you guys team up early on it? How did that go?
Arden and I?
What was the division of labor?
So
early
Arden,
on? Because
Arden,
I only associate if I go into Boots.
me, yeah. And that's for a
gonna be there.
reason.
Yeah.
You've met Arden.
Yeah.
No, he says that straight up.
Climbing mountains or
yeah,
doing whatever.
he's just and he's gotten so much better. But anyways, when it started, Arden was only involved in Boots as far as doing the build out, and we had so many generous friends. I mean, we hired nobody to do that work in there, and it was huge. We raised the ceiling, we put in extra windows, gutted the whole place, put in the
Did they
kitchen.
have drop ceilings in there?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, wow.
And so the front windows, you know how bright it is.
Awesome, yeah.
The front windows were partially obscured, the top of them. That window that's in the side towards the parking lot
Yep.
wasn't there at all. So anyways, Arden and his friends did all this work. Of course, we had to hire like the contractors to sign off on electrical and that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
so that was going to be his role, and Arden's a finished carpenter, which is very handy, for us.
Big time.
So Arden built the tables, and friends helped, Sean helped. They did all this work, and he was not going to be part of Boots per se. He was going
Yeah.
to keep his own job. But then, it became really, really clear to me right away. I can't do everything.
Because it was really busy.
It was busy, and I just had these boxes full of paperwork, and it's a lot, to keep up on your invoicing and bills and.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Arden, he's really good with that. He's a numbers guy, and that's not my thing at all.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Amen.
So
Me neither.
he started taking care of that, and he's also
What year was this?
That was right away. That was.
So what was the year? The first?
Oh, 2012.
Oh, was that? Okay.
Yeah. So a couple of months in, he started doing that.
So when I met you, you were only
New, brand
a few
new.
months in. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that. I thought it was like 2010 for some reason.
Yeah,
11.
2012. It feels homey in there.
Yeah.
We've been there.
Right. It was a very lived-in experience first time I went in there.
So yeah, he started jumping in and doing that. It also, additionally, for me, it's really hard to be the creative person when you're running the finances. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I'm like, no, we're not
absolutely know what
buying
you mean.
anything.
Yeah.
No, we don't need more spatulas. This
Yeah.
kind of thing. And
Yeah.
Arden's like, oh my gosh, Alison, you're making life hard for yourself. There's that give and take, but it's hard to do if you're the person in charge of both. So
Yeah.
that worked out really great. He still kept doing a few kind of carpentry things for people, jobs. And then it just took over. So Arden only works at Boots now. He handles all the monies. He handles,
Oh, I didn't realize that.
yeah,
Okay.
that's been his only job since pretty much soon after we opened. Deliveries, monies, bills.
So operations.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
things that
And you were the creative mind behind all the choices.
And he helps sometimes, like cut
Yeah.
vegetables, when there's room at the bench. But
Yeah.
he mostly delivers, handles our wholesale accounts, all of that.
So tell me about your early menu, because like I think I can say quite comfortably that like the vegan pumpkin waffles, the tofu scramble, coffee cake, those are the things that probably everybody talks about that has been at Boots.
Yeah, waffles for sure.
Yeah.
We run a contest every year.
It's insane how good they are.
And how many we sell, and every year it's more and more. Last year, something like 12,300 and whatever waffles.
Connor, have you eaten it? The pumpkin waffles, you're doing yourself a disservice. That's your next assignment.
And we started.
Don't even come in and do video and photography tomorrow. Just get your ass over to Boots.
I
And seriously,
could have
dude.
brought you one.
And chase it with the coffee cake, but get the tofu scramble. I think the way you wrote it on the website made me laugh my ass off. It says like a hangover thing. 100% truth. That tofu
I don't even
scramble.
do our website, so I don't even know what it says.
It says something about it's like if you for that Saturday morning hangover or something
Right.
like that. That tofu scramble is super
that
delicious.
was, Joel. What's Joel's last name?
Barber
Not Joel Barber. Joel. Shoot, it'll come
Williamson.
to me. No, it's like a creative type. You would know him. I'll come up with his name. He did our
Okay.
website, so I haven't even looked at it in
Oh,
years.
oh Jesus.
You know who I mean?
Not
His
Joel
wife's
Smith.
at Whitworth or something. Yeah, is that Joel Smith?
Smith's his last name. Joel. Yeah.
Yeah, that's who did our website.
Yeah. Liz is
Yes,
Joel.
yeah.
Totally.
I knew you'd know him.
Yep.
Creatives.
Yep.
So when we started, we didn't just do pumpkin waffle. Additionally, when we started, we weren't gluten-free exclusively, but
Now you are.
yeah, it
Yeah.
just got pretty soon in. It got really just way too dodgy for me to trust that everyone's going to get each thing right. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Wait, who's everyone?
the
People in the
staff
kitchen?
working there.
Yeah.
Kitchen cross-contamination, maybe you got two things in the case, one's gluten-free,
The food
one's
delivery
not.
people, all
yeah,
of
it's
it.
it was just too much, so we
Yeah.
just took it out, and that's been great because
Kind of like trying to do a peanut-free thing. It's
Yeah,
like
you
super
can't.
hard. You got to get a certification and shit.
yeah, we
Like,
just tell
yeah.
people if you're allergic to nuts, don't eat at
bye.
our place.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
totally.
got a lot of nuts. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not safe, but anyway, so that's how that gluten-free thing came.
Be a
But
good
we
tagline
started
for your
out
business.
with
Got a lot of nuts.
like banana waffles, and then we do gingerbread at Christmas time. People just want pumpkin waffles. It's
Really?
kind of insane.
What about the coffee cake? I've always assumed, just because of the
All
way that
different
I
kinds.
reacted to it, is that also like a big...
Yeah, we sell a lot of coffee cake, a lot of
Yeah.
fruit bars. Coffee cake, we just do whatever. We just got a bunch of blueberries in from a farmer, so we just made today lemon blueberry coffee cake. We had some currants, so I made some jam out of that. We made that last week. Just kind of what we get, and flavors rotate.
So how much of the menu is the same as it was when you first opened?
We have some set things that we always have. We always have tofu scramble. We always have pumpkin waffles, but then we generally have frittatas.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, we have a giant case now, so there's tons of room. I think there's room for 17 dishes, like in the savory case at a time. So
Yeah.
we're just constantly making. We got some last week, arugula and raspberries from a farmer, so we made a salad from
So a
that.
lot of it's based on
Yeah, what we
availability
get.
of certain produce and whatever. Yeah.
And me not being bored. Like
Yeah.
I do not make the
Brenton,
things.
you don't want to do the same thing over and over again?
No, I can't. So other people do that.
What's the main thing that you go to work and you're like, this is the reason I come here? What is it?
I have a really fun time at work. It's the staff who work there are amazing. The people who come there are amazing. I mean, it's fun. It's like my living room. So
yeah, it is.
yeah, for the most part, there is hardly a day where I'm like, oh, bleh. I mean,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. I'd rather still be lounging around in Butte or Missoula today than coming to work, just because that's more
yeah.
messing around.
Are
But
they still? Is the family there still?
no, we all came back.
You guys all
Yeah,
came back.
We all
Yeah.
came back.
Yeah. Do you identify as being an introvert or extrovert?
Well, I'm super extroverted if I'm in my comfort zone,
Yep.
which is at work. I'm happy to go talk to people and, pass out my cupcakes to the kids, which I started that as it's a sweet little thing for little kids, but it's perfect, right? Because then the kids, I'm not kidding, they're like, tell their parents, we got to go to Boots because they know they're going to get
Absolutely.
a cupcake. I didn't
Yeah.
think of it like initially as that, like a marketing thing, but it works that way.
Yeah, but it's amazing how that works.
Yeah.
Something that comes about quite organically.
And plus,
It's
I love little kids. My kids
exactly.
are older
Well,
now.
like, it's
so-
obvious.
Yeah, they're so sweet.
There's no way anybody could ever interpret that sort of transaction as
And
being
sometimes
anything
when there's a
other than-
baby and I just stand, I'm just like,
Totally.
look at it.
Yeah.
Because your kids are big now. They're getting big. They're not so tiny. I don't know. They're so sweet.
Yeah.
They're
Interesting.
really cute. What was I gonna say?
Well, I was talking about what brings you to work, etc. But one of the things that it brings up about being in your space where you're comfortable. Have you ever read this book by Susan Cain called Quiet?
No.
She talks about the quote unquote failed extrovert. It's like this will maybe surprise you. I identify as an introvert, but if I'm in like a kind of a safe, like, for lack of a better description, performative space, like somewhere where like I'm with people who understand what I'm trying to communicate or whatever, however I'm like engaging with a particular situation, that I'm fine. But anything where it's like people I don't know, or I can get agoraphobic quickly, like just being around a bunch of strangers, whatever. Or if I do have to be put in a position to public speaking, perhaps, whatever, it's like a lot of rebuild times required. That's what she calls a failed extrovert, I think is how she describes it. It's this great book called Quiet.
I
It's
should
about
check it out.
Introverts
because
and extroverts.
I told you I don't like to be filmed. I don't mind
Exactly.
chatting with you. That's fine and fun. But when I do have to do public speaking
He's not
things,
even filming. This is just
yeah, you're just hanging out. When I
There's
do
a
have
red
to do
lamp
like
on you.
public things like that, then for me, what tends to happen is I have a lot of anxiety about it, but B,
Totally.
my mouth just runs. Like, do you know what I mean? I just am, and then after I get done, I'm like, oh my God, that sucked. Like I'm making jokes and I'm just being inappropriate. I mean, it seems
know.
inappropriate.
I think we have a lot in common with this.
And then
we're being tame right now. I'm proud of us.
Yeah, I'm just like,
we're doing a good job.
well, because just us here,
We're
it's
doing
fine.
good.
I'm not standing up at ugh.
Well, we're reining it in a little bit.
I went to talk to, and in fact here, what is that where they like help entrepreneurs do business? You know, I was somebody's coach or mentor.
Was it for Ginger's program for window dressing? Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that, and then when I had to talk to the group, oh my gosh, it's like suck. There's all these business types there, and I'm like, oh no, we don't do it like that. We don't advertise. We don't do this. We don't, because we don't.
That's valuable, though.
Yeah.
Talk about that, though. That's a valuable thing.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
We do not.
So why don't you?
Why don't we advertise?
There's plenty of data to suggest that.
I'll tell you why.
It's not necessary sometimes.
Because I don't do it the way we advertise is I'm happy to donate to your coffee morning. I'm happy to donate to somebody's cake auction. Like, I consider that advertising dollars.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
I don't.
It's goodwill generation.
Yeah, I don't want to. It's because it's my living room. Like I said, I don't want to give somebody like a flyer that says "Come see me." Like, it doesn't seem personal.
In the way that you go about your business, and what we've already talked about, like vegan pumpkin waffles and the scramble coffee cake, etc.
I know what Benji's 3 favorites are.
Dude, might have to pause and go get some. If those things aren't getting talked about once somebody has them and enjoys them, you're dead in the water. You can tell the world, hey, come and have my XYZ, but if it sucks, no one's going to return anyway. So you're so completely and disproportionately dependent on referral and word of mouth and whatever in that industry that I couldn't imagine, you or Kate and Jeremy or anybody else needing to like spend a bunch of money on advertising to get the word out about your food, especially in the restaurant industry.
Yeah,
I mean, we could get into the whole Yelp culture thing, which is super toxic and gross. Like, sorry Yelp, but it's bullshit, man. Like,
yeah, and
the power that's given to Yelp is
we do
way
well on
not
Yelp,
cool.
but I'll tell you what. Like, I have this other app on my phone called Perch, and it lets me know if somebody's tagged us or given a review. But I will not. So I only get like the first couple of lines and see how many stars. Do you think I ever once have gone into Yelp to read it? Because I don't want them to even think that I'm going to click on their shit. Because I cannot. It's so ridiculous. And they call us like during lunch. Hey, you should advertise with us. I'm like, get off the phone. We're not ever going to advertise with you. And I know they're running a business, but it's ridiculous.
It's given so much power to people who have a penchant for being a dick.
Yeah.
Right?
And there are some people who all of their reviews are just dick reviews. Like, that's what they like to do.
Yeah, exactly. You can go look at their history and it's like, oh, sweet. Wow, I could tell
Five
a story.
five reviews. They're
I have
all
a story
one star.
that I'll do the short version of it, which was like, we had that happen. And then we realized it was somebody who just basically obliterates everyone.
Also-
Everyone they've ever, like, they have a scorched earth policy for their Yelp reviews. They just, like, there's nobody they're not willing to put on blast. And then we didn't take it seriously. We're like, oh, well, this is
I
kind
know
of
it's
ridiculous.
hurtful though, and it can be
And
catastrophic.
Absolutely.
I mean-
I feel like I've talked to Jeremy about this in the past, but yeah, it's way too much power has been given. And even famous restaurant owners or whatever have talked about this, but it's too much power is given to somebody who just doesn't really.
But think about like a little tiny mom and pop place that's just opening up.
Exactly.
And they get 1 or 2 of those. So then, based on the fact they only have 5 reviews,
Yes.
2 are kind of shitty because they don't have their act together yet. Then you're
It
rating.
takes you 300 more reviews to get
Yeah.
up to like a 4-star or above
Yeah,
review thing.
it's sad, and I think if you're in the restaurant or you go to restaurants, I'd never look at Yelp to see if like, hey, should we go to this place? It's highly reviewed. I just will not do it. And if something's wrong, I'll just say to the person, hey, guess what? Like this fish was overcooked or whatever, you know? Not
Yeah.
me, I don't order the fish, but
Yeah.
not go on to Yelp. Oh, suck.
Well, and it's such a misunderstanding, I think, of restaurants. That's the thing that bugs me the most, especially once I've had conversations with people like you or any of the restaurant owners that I've met in Spokane. And it's well written about too, whether it's David Chang, the Momofuku guy. Like, making money in restaurant business is very, very, very difficult. The margins are so paper thin, generally, especially the higher quality produce you use for your ingredients,
Right.
whatever. And you're often trying to locate yourself in these very urban, core downtown settings where building owners want to make a lot of money, and there's all these things go into consideration. You got to pay your front of house, you got to pay your cooks, you got to pay whatever. It's very, very difficult to make money. So then for people to take if people had an understanding of that kind of, if they had any sense of the measurement of like effort that goes into it, blood,
Right.
sweat, tears, etc., and how it's not a very easy way to make a living, they would take more seriously their little pithy,
I don't think they would, though.
shitty write-ups.
Because the people who are shitty are just shitty.
That's true.
I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
It is what it is. So tell me about what you think as far as like your experiences of being like a person who anybody would gather cares very much about Spokane and like the way that factors into how you go about your business practices, etc.
Well, of course I care about Spokane. I live here, and my kids are here, my family's here, and I love it here. I tell people all
Where are
the
you
time.
from?
I lived everywhere because my dad was military and my mom was from England, so we pretty
What?
much. Yeah,
England?
My mom was British. She's passed away now, but
Okay.
we lived in England, lived in Texas, lived in California, lived in everywhere. So we moved back here to Spokane about for high school for me, which is a long time ago now.
You
But
said back here, as in,
we had been here before.
okay.
My dad was stationed here previously, but then I think my parents this is where they wanted
They
to
dug it.
retire.
Okay.
And it's funny, I loved when we were growing up, moving every year to year and a half. That was my jam. I loved it. Like, reinvent yourself. You're on to the new place, new friends. And my sister like hated it. It was hard for her, and then once we grew up, she has lived so many places, and I've just parked it here. I mean, since I went over to Western for school for a while, but
Yeah.
I love it here. It's like beautiful. It's not too busy.
Yeah.
Although it's getting busier.
Have you noticed that?
I have noticed it getting
So what
busier.
in your 7 years? So it's interesting. I think that the ages of our respective businesses, you've got a year head start on anything that we've done with either fellow or later with treatment. What have been some of the things that you've noticed in that time frame in terms of the busyness? Is it
Of Spokane?
yeah? Is
Yeah.
the business, is Boots busier?
Yeah.
Is all of it busier?
I think yes, I would say yes. And that part of that is just as people find out about you. It takes a couple years to get people like,
Yeah.
oh, this exists here. I don't think most people would know that they come into here and see all these different people working on different things. It's
crazy,
like,
right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I was actually, I know about this place, but not all about it.
Yeah.
But I was like, there are a lot of people here.
Yeah.
A lot of people for what I just didn't know. I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed specifically like traffic is busier, that's the part I don't like. Although for us to get to Boots from home, we don't.
Where do you guys live?
We live in West Central.
Oh, you do. That's right.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
really like that.
Yeah. Does it
And-
slow down at all at certain times of day for you?
What, traffic or boots?
Yeah, getting just even traffic, even commuting from West Central.
Well, sure. It's busier in the morning, busier at like traditional work hours.
I see. For me, I still haven't found it is even on the. It's not even the needle has moved a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's still not like. I think, especially relative to other cities that I've been in.
Relative to other
like
cities,
even Anchorage, because I grew up in Alaska and I lived in Anchorage in my when I left high school, or whatever. And that place was just
Busy.
crushed, totally crushed. And I was always like, and it got way worse over time, and it's worse now than ever before. Sorry, Anchorage, but like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you just cannot get. And it's got the same problem that Spokane has. There's neighborhoods all over the place. The boundary of like where people come from that live in the kind of metro area of Anchorage and Spokane is like quite like spread out. But the traffic in like Anchorage proper is absurd.
Yeah, I never would have guessed that.
Truly
I would have
absurd.
guessed that it was like slim pickings.
Doing like what I do, I go up to, we live by Rocket Market. So it's whatever, it's like it is the classic, what we're all advertising about Spokane. It's like a 12-minute commute. It is. It takes me about 12 minutes. And it's never really changed. I mean, I can't say that even at 5 o'clock it's been.
I think the freeway's changed.
Yeah.
But we don't
true.
have to take the freeway.
It has. I've started to see like going to even Coeur d'Alene at 4 o'clock on a Friday.
Yeah.
I don't envy those people that are trying to make that commute.
And part of that is just that it seems like there's always some kind of road works going on. So, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I still would choose to live here. I still do choose to live here. I love it. The river, we paddleboard so much.
The stand-up thingy? Mm-hmm. I've only done that once. It didn't go well.
Why not?
I thought it was going to be easy. I had
If I could do it, it's easy.
Dude, two things I think were a factor. So I have to give it another shot. But I was, it was the early season last year, early summer rather. Mm-hmm. I'm going to blame hay fever and like weird eustachian tube things.
Yes.
Because I felt instantly like weird imbalance and stuff.
That doesn't work then.
I'm making excuses for falling into Coeur d'Alene Lake and my sunglasses glug glug going to the bottom.
Oh.
But my buddy Ryan Arnold, it was his property we were hanging out on. His friend had a scuba gear, and I thought he was talking shit. I was like, "There's no way you're gonna find those things, man." He's like, "No, I think this guy he'll come by and he likes doing it. I'll give him an excuse." Because
they were prescription.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he did. Like 3 weeks later, he's like, he made fun of my sunglasses. He's like, "Dude, I think we found some sunglasses, but I don't think they're yours because they look like they're from the '80s."
Oh my god.
It's like, come on, man. Not that bad.
That's cool that he found them.
I found them, yeah.
You could do it. And it also, like, you could do it. You just have to not be dizzy, obviously.
I think that's key.
Yeah.
Maybe beer was a factor.
I was going to say, we're tippling.
Stop it. It's become a theme of this podcast.
Yeah,
People just
somebody
think I'm
has
an
to say
alcoholic.
tippling.
Tippling. Okay, tipple. You said that word.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? I don't even. How did that get into your
tipple,
vocabulary?
you know what tipple means?
I didn't. I had to Google that.
Yeah, it's like to have a little.
Oh, so like a little kind of thing.
Tipple. It's not like hardcore boozing. It's just a little tipple.
Just a smooch.
Maybe I don't know the origin of it. If it seems to me in my mind.
It's some old school stuff, man.
Yeah, like tipple would come like you might tipple in the afternoon. That'd be called tippling.
Okay.
In my mind, but it is drinking.
It feels like flask culture, like the old. Mm-hmm.
Oh, tipple.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you see the history of it?
I did.
You looked it up. What is the history?
Let's figure it out.
It's a word I use, and I know what it means. I do a lot of Scrabble, online.
Those who like to tipple and gamble.
Oh.
Drink alcohol, especially habitually. All right. They're catching on. It's this is some old country stuff. I love that word though. I need to find a way to massage it into my daily use. Tipple.
Tipple.
Tipple. Tell me some things. Work-life balance. It's one of the things I wanted to ask you about.
How about lotion? What the heck?
We have lotion. We can get
You
some.
do?
What is that? What do you got? Looks like you have electrical tape on your arm.
Yeah,
there.
there's a little blister there, so.
Oh, okay.
It's not electrical, it's like KT tape, but that's just because that's the tape we had.
Yeah, gotcha.
So, and Band-Aids, they don't ever stay on.
No.
Work-life balance, well, I work with my husband,
Yeah.
so.
Do you guys feel okay about it?
Yeah, it's awesome. that was something I was nervous about because Arden was not going to be involved, and
Yeah.
it really, I say it's awesome now, but it took a lot of work to like figure out who's doing what, who handles what thing. Like Arden's good. He doesn't get involved with staff. And if staff asks for like money stuff, I just go, dude, why are you asking me? Like that's Arden's deal.
Yeah.
Except for I do payroll just because I have to adjust it all the time because people forget to clock in.
People in the Boots orbit know who to go to.
Yeah,
for
they
which
know who
thing.
to go to for what. But for Arden and I to figure that out, it took a hot minute, and there was definitely
Some moments.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
some struggles. Now I'm like, oh, it's amazing, but for me to not recognize that it was difficult, it was.
People must ask you. So, what do you say about like how it's impacted your relationship and all that other kind of stuff? What was that like to go through that? I couldn't imagine owning a business with Ray. I think she would justifiably kill me within probably the first week
Yeah.
if we tried to own a business together. Because I would love. She envies you. She wants to be you.
What?
This is as good as time as any to
No,
say
she
this.
doesn't.
Dude, for real.
Oh, yeah, right.
Her dream is to have a bakery. Like she loves that idea. But I'm always going, that has got to be a hellacious amount of work for.
Yeah.
There's no way you're buying a second home on. Not that that's what we're pursuing by any means, but like
No,
it's
no.
difficult living, right?
Yeah,
Like,
we're not. It's not like
Yeah.
we're fancy or,
Yeah.
loaded or
Exactly.
oh, we're going out to the lake place. Nothing like that.
That's right.
And I still work there. I mean, I'm there 5 days a week for
Yes,
sure.
exactly.
Unless we have a little trip like we did this last weekend, gone for 3 days. That's fine.
Yeah.
And we have amazing people who work with us, so it is possible for us to leave town for like 10 days and everything runs smoothly.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really great. And
Yeah.
but I like to say we take care of our people because they're like family. It's not like, and we're big on giving out little bonuses here and there for people who help out because it helps us out. So,
Totally, yeah.
But in the beginning, Benji, oh my God, it was so hard because you cannot afford to hire a bunch of staff
You cannot.
and you're like on a shoestring anyway.
Yeah.
And you know what? We started Boots with money from friends. It's like 6 different people gave us loans. They're like, it doesn't matter if you give us interest or not.
What was the kind of capitalization picture like? What did you need for money, if you don't mind me asking?
No, I don't mind, and I
Might
don't
be
know.
relevant to the
Yeah,
people
I
who
don't know.
Might be relevant to Ray when
To
we're
Ray.
talking later, and she's like, "I'm gonna do it."
Yeah, I think, and I could be wrong. I'm thinking it was like around maybe 70.
That'd be pretty modest.
Yeah, pretty modest because Arden and his friends all did free labor.
You had some sweat.
Also
sweat
because
equity.
Dan was my friend and was very, very generous.
Cool about it.
Also had a lot of materials because he just kind of collects old things. So they were like, do you know what I mean? He already had a bunch of doors that we made our
'cause
seats out of.
70,000. That sounds like an insignificant amount of money.
Yeah, it was. And I could be wrong on that.
Sure.
Guess what? I'd have to ask Arden because I don't
Okay.
know. I'm just like this. Do we have money? I just use my debit card. It seems to work.
But on the relationship side, it was okay. It was like you guys didn't go through like it wasn't like. Would you recommend it to other people? I guess, or would it be dependent on what how you feel about your relationship? With
Yeah,
somebody?
I think it would depend on that. And we, no, the right way to say this, we don't like. I would never in a million years like tell Arden what to do. Do you know what I mean? Either in his social life or even at work. I would
Yeah.
never. It's just not what we do. You know how some couples are like, hey, is it cool if I go for a bike ride or, like that? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously we're respectful of each other's time and getting our kids to where they need to be. But yeah, we just are more like friends that way. I don't know how to describe it. So I don't think it works if one person, I've seen relationships where one person's kind of in charge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One person sort of runs the show and the other one's like, well,
Yeah.
then it wouldn't maybe work.
Interesting. So you've gone through some perhaps minor, I'm not sure, you fill me in, evolutions of the business,
Yeah,
right? Maybe revolutions. Cocktails happened at some point. When did that happen?
immediately.
Really?
Yeah, we had a bar day one.
Oh.
And that is why,
So tell me about how that was.
well, that's because I bartended for so long and I had a huge clientele, right? So
Oh, you're
I
like, I
had
got to
the-
get those people in here.
I had this regular, it was just hard for me to say, I'm going to cut off that whole section of my life because it was such a part of my life for
Yeah.
years. I mean, I bartended for 7 or 8 years at Mizuna. and all these different groups of people would come in. I caught like my lawyer boys, which was very immensely helpful to us with boots, because I had all of these friends who were like, certainly we'll help you draw up this.
It's an automatic revenue stream, yeah.
Yeah, well, and they would help with, like
for licensing.
Yeah, and all of that.
Yeah.
Just very, very nice.
All
like
the T's and C's.
Yeah, like a big variety of people. So anyway, so that came in. Additionally, business-wise, I don't think it's smart. It is for some people. But for me, I'm like, why would I have this space and only utilize it for this many hours a day when it could be open for this long? Now, who's going to go for coffee and pastries at 9 o'clock? Maybe not many people, but if you have booze as well, and we're by the Magic Lantern and the Opera House or convention
I feel like I'd
center.
imagine you'd get a lot of service industry people too. Is that true?
Yeah, I think we get some. What we do get is people appreciate having booze in the morning, like Bloody Mary, mimosa, especially on the weekends.
Totally.
And then some people come in because they've worked overnight, and then that's their shifter, right? So if you work an overnight shift, they come in, get a drink in the morning, then go home and sleep.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look so socially, what's the right word? Not so judgy to go to a coffee shop to have a cocktail as it is to like hit up
It's true.
one of our neighborhood bars at 6 a.m.
Yeah, and plus it seems like there's what you're describing is like a natural balance or fit being next to Zola.
Yeah,
it's a completely different vibe at Zola.
We close at 10 p.m. for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, we do not want to be a part of that
Scene.
that triangle down there, which can get pretty nuts. You know,
Yeah, I've
that's
heard.
not us.
I read John Wade's posts on
Yeah,
Facebook.
of course, John. I know when that last thing happened, I'm like, what? I didn't even hear about this. Let me go to John, and then of course he has all the word on it. I hadn't heard about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I just didn't want to give that up. I also envisioned baked goods with booze in them, which we have. Boozy brownie is a really popular thing.
Oh yeah. Never
That
heard
we have. So I just wanted it to be,
And there is a performing arts kind of space there too, right?
Yeah, well, we just have it. You've seen it. It's like long and narrow, but we do have things there like.
But there's something up top, isn't there?
No, that's Arden's office.
Oh, no one's
Yeah.
allowed up there. Okay.
You can go up there, but
Sure.
wow, that is
might
one
not
thing
want
I
to.
do tell Arden regularly. Maybe you could get that cleaned up, and so I bought this like film to go on those windows, so that's mostly applied, so you can't see so much.
to obscure ardent shit.
Oh my God, and it's not his fault. It's a tiny space, right? So we have to store stuff somewhere.
The paperwork has to go somewhere.
Yeah, paperwork and just like, like cold cups and things like
Storage,
that.
basically.
Storage. Yeah,
Yeah,
dry
I
storage.
get it. We had a storage space here that we, by demand, had to turn into a conference room, and so, like right now, we do not have
Storage.
anywhere. No, so we're like using IKEA shelves and putting
Those little baskety
the
things.
inserts exactly to hide all the stuff that like
that's hard.
you want to keep
That's
it
what
outside.
I tell people. Somebody was asking me advice about opening a place, and she's like, well, and I don't think I'll need like this much refrigeration. So I'm like, you need way more than you think you need. Whatever you're planning on, you should plan on 1/3 to 1/2 more. Like we did not set out to make food. So we're going to be like a bakery lounge. That's thus the name.
What do you mean by food? Like as in the
Like
scramble?
savory
and-
foods. Yeah. So we were going to have some food because we were having booze. And at that time, that's what the LCB required. You got to have some food if you're serving booze. So I'm like, okay, we'll have some food to kind of meet this requirement. And then I think I just spit on camera. Did you see it?
Nope.
God, I hope you got it.
I swear I saw
Are
it
we
like
shooting
that.
60 frames, please?
Yeah.
So there'll be slow-mo.
Yeah.
We're gonna.
Anyway, so like day one, people were like, where's the food? I mean, people wanted food. So now we make food.
The savory thing, man, that's a big deal.
It's hard though
I've
because
gone
have
to
you seen our
bakeries
kitchen?
before or coffee shops where they don't do anything savory, and I'm
Yeah.
like, get out of here. I don't do
This
sweets.
is the
'cause I'm not a
size of our
sweets person.
kitchen, this room.
It is
It's
small.
so
I've been in there.
small.
We shot some video in there.
Yeah,
Fun
so
time.
we're just, oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, with our kindness homies.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben
Those
and
guys,
Jade.
they're so sweet.
Totally.
And the name, kindness.
So good.
So, okay, we got to make a lot of food because people want food and we sell a lot of food, but we have like this much refrigeration. So it's just nonstop. What that does, that means that we're making food all the time because
you don't have anywhere to put
we
it.
don't have any space
Yeah.
to put like tons of food.
Has to go out same day.
Yeah.
What were some of the first things you did for the food to satisfy this requirement?
Yeah, frittata, like I talk about,
Yeah.
scramble, enchilada pie. I think was an early on because that's a recipe that I had amended from my childhood, you know, so I've made that vegan and gluten-free. What else? You know, muffins, cookies.
Oh, that all counts?
No,
For the LCB
savory.
requirement? How do they
No.
determine that?
They
They're
don't-
like,
and you
hey,
know what's
there needs
ki-
to be more salt in this.
It was kind of ridiculous,
Not
their
enough fat.
requirement, because they're like, you have to submit a menu to them, which you can be whatever you say, you know?
Yeah.
They're like, well, where's like the burger? I'm like, you don't need a burger to like get your protein. You know, they care about protein and fat, and it's as if they have a dietitian on. I swear.
It does feel like that. Do you think they have some science behind it? Like this, you need a certain amount of stuff to soak up the booze?
Well, because what bars were doing at that time, and I think the laws are different now, but because you have to have hot food, I'm not kidding, hot food.
Oh, okay.
So some bars would just stock those Hungry Men TV dinners and count that as their hot food option. Of course, nobody's going to order that,
And they would
right?
stick it on the menu, like Salisbury steak?
Yeah, or not on the menu, but
be
they would
kidding me.
say, oh, then this TV dinner's $50, because they didn't want anybody to order it, but that was just to like get around that requirement. So I don't even know what they are now. I mean, we just pay our giant fee to the LCB each year.
It's bendy.
Yeah.
What do you have other things that you want to do with the business? Like how's like the scaling side of things? Like do you feel like you can keep up with if the business grows?
We're at the max on what we can do
Yeah.
wholesale wise. We do a ton of wholesale.
Yeah, you do. You guys are everywhere.
And so that is something we've considered, is just doing another production kitchen.
Something offsite, yeah.
But within the downtown core. And again, I have supporters for that, right? So it's not like we have to get a loan. People are like, hey, we'll hook you up and do this.
Boom. Yeah.
And that would be just like probably for cookie production. We, on a weekly average, probably send out 700 cookies to wholesale. And so for our tiny space, that's a lot of...
Yeah. In addition to everything else you're trying to do.
Right, and our staff hand wrap them. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we're baking them and wrapping them, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Any other revolutionary changes to the business, or something you've thought about, other things? Like anything else you want to, never mind business stuff, but like what else is there other things you think about wanting to do with your time?
No. People ask all the time for us to have second locations all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And absolutely not.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it's my living room. So I would have to be somewhere else most of the time to get that going.
Yeah.
And then that means I wouldn't be at Boots, which, you know, when I'm gone for a week, it feels like I've been gone for a week.
It reminds me of people who think that it's kind of like, if you don't have experience with business, you could only make that kind of request. Like, you guys should totally put one on the South Hill. I cannot believe you're not doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, you've obviously never done this before, because
Yeah, and it's not like our goal is not to like, ooh, gonna make a lot of money
totally.
and we're gonna like have all these Boots franchises
Yeah,
around.
exactly.
That's not it. It's like we
Although
bought
if you
our
do, let me know.
Yeah.
Asking for a friend.
'Cause
my wife.
Ray can run a Boots
Dude,
franchise.
she really does talk about this all the time. She wants to she wants to come work for you.
She does?
She wants to bake, man.
Oh, does she work now?
Yeah, she's a counselor.
Oh.
So she's a therapist.
Yeah.
And so part of her life is, like being in session and, helping people and so forth. But
How's that work out for you? Do you ever get that active listening right back at
can
you?
neither confirm nor deny whether or not I
'Cause
take
it's on
advantage of the
you.
fact that I get, which you're not supposed to do. They call this dual role.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like, can't be your wife and your,
No, but I mean like when she's like really giving you the business, she's better than you at the whole process of...
dude, when it comes to, you're talking about the operations side of
Yeah.
your business with Arden?
No, I'm talking about her being a counselor and outthinking you.
No, 100. Yeah, I'm going to give you all the ways that she does that. I have just gotten to where I know when I come to work, I have two businesses to constantly think and feel about between fellow and treatment, and then I go home, and I know I'm not as good at like any of it. So I
But
just
maybe
try
you
to,
are. You're
I
just
just try to
different.
say, I'm going to provide the support. Like you mentioned earlier, that made me laugh. I was thinking about this is kind of how our vibe is of like, I can help you cut up the thingies. I hate cooking because I'm really bad at it. It's the timing; it just stresses me out. But I will be there to cut the veggies or whatever. I'll do the dishes happily. Don't know why, but I've born with the gene where dishes are like therapeutic to me. It's like hot water, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I love it. Love dishes. It's my kink. Write that down. But then, like parenting. Are you kidding? I don't pretend to have the expertise to draw from. She and her sister both like childhood development stuff. Like they're both like her sister was like published in some
I think you're probably
thing,
excellent.
And she's a circle security person. Do you know those people at
Yes,
all?
of course
Ken
I do.
Hoffman and so forth. Yeah, so she's completely mobbed up in that and is like very good at it. She has a never-ending wait list for what she does. Like, but you know, she has the thing she would love. You know, the classic Onion article, which I love referencing because it's so great. The find the thing you love to do and do it at nights and weekends.
Yeah.
Like her thing would be baking, but. The example I give, so you mentioned the second location thing. We hear it about Fellow too. We'll have people who are like, "Hey," I'm always doing like some
somebody's
dude
voice.
because it's always a dude. It's
Yeah.
like, "Hey, saw what you're doing over there. It looks pretty cool. Why don't you come on over here?" And it's like 3 blocks away. It's like, really, man?
Right.
Like that's going to completely compete with what we already have. Plus, there's no way I want to stretch my attention geographically because it's like I always make the analogy. It's kind of like if you only have one kid. Before you have your second kid, like it's a lot of work having a kid. Having a second kid, I don't care what anybody tells you out there in the world, it is not twice as much work. It is 1,000 times
Yeah.
more work. Partly just because you cannot be 2 places at once. So if you're attending to one kid, and
How old are your
an
kids
analogy
now?
we're talking about is a business, the other one's by law of physics not able to be attended to. So you've got so it's so much work. It is so much more work. Greta's now 8, Ivy's 5. Yeah.
So
going through
we
a fun
call
phase.
Boots, that's what we call Boots, is our special needs child.
Yeah.
And honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, early on, we're like, girls, sorry. Like, we gotta like do this. Gotta stoke this fire
Yeah,
over
because you
here.
can help yourself.
Yeah.
Boots can't help itself.
Yeah.
Boots needs.
But
needs
I
always.
leave Boots every day, and we've had a couple of weeks break, but it's gearing up again. Every single day, I leave work, and then I do what I call my Uber Lyft driver job, and that usually lasts till 8:30 or 9 at night.
Which is doing what?
Driving my kids around.
Oh, gotcha.
And Arden does it too.
I'm
so
slow on the uptake
it's
here.
not like it's because we have 2 kids and
Yeah.
they very often have like, oh, I'm gonna be here at 5. Oh, I'm gonna be across town at 5:15. I mean, it's so insane.
And they're what ages now?
Ivy's 15, done with driver's ed, so she can't get her
Yeah,
license
get ready to do it yourself.
until February. But she drives us everywhere. Drove us to Butte, drove us to
So
Wenatchee.
15 and Olive is
Olive's 12.
okay. Yeah, I know it's coming. The whole disparate activities thing.
Yeah.
And our kids are very different. Ivy already really likes soccer. Greta, so, but Greta loves horseback riding.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Anyway, I see that coming. And it's
Arden
frightening.
is amazing dad, but what he says is like, Alison, once in your life where you can just do whatever the fuck you want to do
Yeah.
is when you're a kid. So whatever they say they want to do is he's like, fine. I'd be like,
Do it.
pole vaulting, no trouble. Let's sign up for these. Oh, you're doing this, soccer, the climbing, the yeah.
Neither of our kids benefit from this. We're both varying degrees, Ray and I, of like warriors. So Greta did this performance. How are we doing on time?
3 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, 3 minutes to wrap it up?
Yeah. You made
No,
it.
we didn't
So
even.
proud of you.
I didn't even talk about anything yet.
Oh, stop it.
We're just beginning.
Good. We're going to do a follow-up where you'll come in and talk for... Then we'll do the 3-hour one, Joe Rogan
Yeah.
style.
As it is, people are gonna be like,
Yeah. I think they'll like anything to do with like kids because like that's relatable to a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
And we're dropping some pearls here.
pearls.
Are we?
Yeah.
Greta, other day, performance on a horseback riding camp thing she was in. Like, takes care of the horses, does the shovel and shit, and doing all of it, right? But she's learned horseback riding at some other place. Apparently, there's 2 different styles, maybe more, Western and
And then
English.
English saddle.
You know this stuff.
Yeah, I grew up doing English
Greta's
saddle.
learned English, mostly, or English dominant style, whatever. This camp she was at was
That's
all
all.
Western, so the horses were totally not used to, they were really sensitive to anything with your feet, the Western horses.
Oh.
So she goes to do the little performing thing, and she really wanted to put on a show. She's watched too much of this Netflix show called Spirit. She's like, I'm going to go out there, and I'm going to, those people, they're going to run out of here with shit-eating grins on their faces because of the thing I'm getting ready to do. So everyone's quiet, and she gets on the horse, and they announce, like, oh, next up is Greta Wade. And then Greta's like,
I'm scared.
I got this. I know, right? I've never seen her horseback riding, ever. And the horse, she tries to, like, get it to, she wants to put on a show a little bit. I think not even probably following the, like, recommendations of the people that were there to help, right? Like
Yeah.
the trainers or whatever. And this horse starts to kind of take off and gallop. Which is gallop's like it's
Fastest.
not quite sprinting, but it's like they're moving. And Greta a little bit panicked, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm sitting there like so nervous. But I'm proud of Ray, so I'm saying neither parent, at least Ray is encouraging that. Horseback riding scares me. I'd been like, no way, they're not horseback
Look at him.
riding.
He's like, I went paddleboarding once, never again.
Yeah, exactly, I'm done. Yeah.
Benji bubble suit.
I fell in the lake and lost my sunglasses temporarily. So, but yeah, that was weird. And then but she's ready to go back out there. Thank God.
She was all right though. She didn't get. I thought she was going to go flying
there was nothing
off.
happened. But I was sitting there going, I can't believe it. The one time I come out here and this is like, and everyone's like, there was a little bit of a ooh in the audience of parents that were sitting there. Because she was doing some stuff that like the other kids were like literally walking on their horses because she had the experience, but she had the wrong type of experience with that horse.
Oh my
Anyways.
goodness. See, our kids, I worry more, but they climb, so
Yeah.
I don't like heights.
Are we doing okay? Are we out?
No,
We
we're
done?
wrapping up.
Give us 2 seconds. Let's see if it swaps cards. Oh no, you got a minute. Wrap her up.
Wrap it up, Benj.
Wrap it up, he says. Well, thank you. Was this easier or harder than you thought it would be? We're shaking hands? I like
Yeah,
that.
because then you can't hug you across the table. Plus,
Yeah, me too. My pits are so stinky.
seriously, mine too.
So bad.
Came straight from work, and I had all these plans. I'm like, oh, I'm going to change so I look presentable.
That's how you earn your bakery chops, the sweaty pits. It's a measurement of like how hard you're
No, it's
working.
easier. I just think it's probably going to be boring for people to listen to, but
No, people care about you. They want to hear what you have to say.
every time I listen to a podcast, I go like this, let's get to the point. I hate all
You're
the
not
like...
into it. Yeah, I'm into it.
I like podcasts.
I love listening to conversations with people.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing. Thank you.
I like those StoryCorps ones.
I appreciate you. I broke this hat
for
out.
you.
This is a 2013 era hat that I was like, I'm going to wear this in honor of Alison because you were super important to me. All right, thank you.
Thank
High five
you,
one more
Benji.
time.
Your hands are so soft.
I know. Feel that. It's so embarrassing.
Oh my gosh.
Ray makes fun of me.
Yeah, they're like soft and nice.
These hands have never worked a day in their life. It's super
They
sad.
do dishes.
I'm glad that's
probably
not
why
on
they're
video.
soft.